You ever see him?
No. Last time we seen me, he was
looked
walking
terrible.
the load off at Hydro, flying girls in California.
Laura? Welcome, and I'd like to call this council meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. And I'll call on Councillor Decker to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, Hadawandaronk, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Councillor Decker. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, adoption of the agenda. I propose that the agenda be amended to move item 12.2, respecting asset management plan, proposed levels of service, to immediately after presentation item 9.1 regarding the 2025 asset management plan. Can I get, do you want to move that, Councillor D'Angela and Councillor O'Hare, to move the agenda as amended? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder to move the open and closed session? I've got Councillor DeRose and Councillor Sentence of council meeting held on October 7th, 2025. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mayor's report. Councillor Longo told me I have to be quick tonight because there's a ball game.
I'm going to defer the council.
On October 8th, I was joined by Councillors O'Hare, Sentence, Decker, and Regional Councillor Whalen at the grand opening and ribbon cutting of Hearing Life Canada at 15 Topaz Street, Unit 2, right beside Niagara ENT and facial surgeon Dr. Babak Karami's practice. Thank you for your commitment to Thorold and much success moving forward. On October 8th, I attended the Niagara Board of Trade and Commerce Lunch and Learn event held at Bourbon and Bacco, Highway 20, Fawn Hill. Marco Marino, Associate Director of Economic Development at the Niagara region, gave an excellent and informative presentation. On October 9th, I attended Transforming Care, Niagara Health's hospital update at Amici's Banquet Center in Thorold. This was an update on their 5-year strategic plan, which began in 2013. CEO Lynn Guerrero provided an update, which was followed by a panel discussion. On October 10th, I was joined by Councillors D'Angela, Sentence, O'Hare, Regional Councillor Whalen, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino to celebrate Fig Street Company, located on 40 Front Street South, on their 10th anniversary. It's actually their 11th. Congratulations, owner Antoinette D'Angelo, on this milestone and your commitment to Thorold. On October 10th, we also celebrated the grand opening and ribbon cutting of Hazel Market Blossom Bakery, located at 12 Albert Street, west in our downtown. Joining me were Councillors D'Angela, Sentence, O'Hare, Regional Councillor Whalen, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino. Thank you, owners Jackie Troop, Tuesday Troop, and Sunshine Troop, for your commitment to Thorold, and we wish you much future success. On October 11th, I was joined by Councillors D'Angela, Sentence, O'Hare, Regional Councillor Whalen, BIA Chair Serge Carpino at the grand opening and ribbon cutting of Sketchbook Comics and Games, located at 3 Front Street North. Thank you, owners Jeff Russo and Joel Nidri, for relocating your business to Thorold, and we wish you much success. On October 11th, Councillors Sentence, Decker, and O'Hare participated in the CAA ceremonial puck drop Thorold opening night at the Doherty Arena. We wish all TAA hockey teams a very successful season. On October 14th, I brought greetings on behalf of City Council at the Aging Well with Technology event at the Thorold 50 Plus Center, a very informative event with many excellent presentations. On October 14th, I was joined by Fire Chief Terry Dixon, Deputy Fire Chief Mike DeGasperis, and a large contingent of Thorold Fire and Emergency Services firefighters to honor Carl Pearson, who retired after 22-plus years of dedicated service as a volunteer firefighter at Stations 2 and 3. We thank you for your commitment, courage, and countless contributions to the community, and all the best in your retirement. On October 15th, I attended the third annual Country Harvest Soup Fest, a fundraiser for Bethlehem Housing held at the Penn Center. The title sponsor was Essentials Creation and Burial Services. Mark Richardson, Associate Director of Community Services, was also in attendance at this event. On October 16th, I met with executive members from Brock University Graduate Studies Association, who are also represented on our Town and Gown Committee. Some of the issues we discussed were community involvement, volunteer opportunities, co-op placement opportunities, and future local job opportunities. On October 16th, I was joined by Councillor Sentence, O'Hare, Decker, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, BIA Chair Serge Carpino, as we presented the old-fashioned barbershop located at 13A Albert Street West with a certificate recognizing their 5th anniversary. Congratulations, Lee and Jacob, and continued success moving forward. On October 18th, I was joined by Councillors D'Angelo, O'Hare, Decker, Sentence, city staff, and community volunteers at the Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park for a tree planting event. Thank you, Tree Canada, CN Eco Connections, for your generous grant of $10,000 in support of this tree planting effort. The event also included the Thorold Indigenous Unity Garden closing, preparing Mother Earth for her season of rest, and dedication of the Eastern White Pine, the tree of peace, in honor of grandmother Jackie Labont and Oliver Nobeson. The tree is a magnificent addition to the entrance of the Unity Garden. Michelle Elise Burnett led this part of the ceremony, and former councillor Fred Neal from One Thorold was also in attendance. On October 24th, I was joined by Councillors O'Hare, Decker, D'Angelo, Sentence, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino at the grand opening and ribbon cutting for the Pretty Pooch, located at 30 Albert Street East. Thank you, owner Maya Ramnarian, for choosing downtown Thorold, and much success moving forward. On October 24th, I was joined by Councillors O'Hare, Decker, D'Angelo, Sentence, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino at the grand opening and ribbon cutting of Cam Wilson Mortgage Agent Level 2, located at 50B Front Street South. Thank you, Cam, for opening your business in Thorold. It is a great addition to our downtown. He also presented us with a nice photo album showing the conversion of the Gallagher paper mill into the book depot, and that's in my office, which we'll keep for the museum. Also on October 24th, I was joined by Councillors O'Hare, Decker, D'Angelo, Sentence, Didavitas, Regional Councillor Whalen, library staff, and BIA Chair Serge Carpino at a special presentation, the 130th year anniversary of the Thorold Public Library. This is a monumental achievement in a year where the city of Thorold has had many. On October 27th, the BMI group held a luncheon which CAO Manoj Dawari and I attended at the Thorold Multimodal Hub to meet the new team from Espanola, a recent addition to the BMI group. And in closing, the city of Thorold will be raising the poppy flag to acknowledge the upcoming poppy campaign, which runs from October 31st to November 11th. The annual Remembrance Day ceremony hosted by the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 17 Thorold will take place at the Cenotaph in Memorial Park on November 11th at 11 a.m. The parade to Memorial Park will assemble behind the Legion at 10:20 a.m. The Legion asks if you are unable to attend the Remembrance Day ceremony, please stop wherever you are and observe a moment of silence on November 11th at 11 a.m. to honor the fallen and thank all of the brave men and women who served. And that's the end of my mayor's remarks. Presentation 9.1. I'll call on Alexa Wild, Senior Asset Management Advisor, Team Lead, PSD Citywide, for the presentation regarding the 2025 Asset Management Plan. Welcome, Alexa. Is she on Zoom?
I don't even mention it.
And Alexa, you have up to 10 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you very much. I just want to confirm if you can see my presentation and if you can hear me.
Yes and yes.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for having me tonight. I am here to present Thorold's 2025 Asset Management Plan. So I do just want to give a brief background. I will keep it under 10 minutes. We're doing this asset management plan not only because it is important, but because it is regulatory compliance with Ontario Regulation 58817. So with this plan, you will be in compliance with the 2025 requirements of the OREG. I do want to just give a quick thank you to John and Setu for their contributions to this plan as we've been developing it over the last year. So as you're probably aware, this is the final phase from the Ontario regulation for asset management planning. Up until this point, we have been looking more historically in the past of our current state. And the difference in the asset management plan for 2025 is that we are looking at the future state. We are looking at the proposed levels of service and how to finance where we want to be at a set time in the future. So as part of the Ontario regulation, these plans must be updated at least once every 5 years. But in the years in between, it is still a requirement that administration presents an update to council every year before July 1st. This is to make sure that both administration and council are aware of the progress that has or has not been made towards the asset management goals. I'm going to do a very quick recap of where the municipality is as of today. So the city of Thorold has a current total replacement cost of your portfolio of assets of just under $1 billion. It's $927 million. That is a large portfolio of assets to be responsible for, and sometimes it can be really difficult to make decisions when you have such a wide array of assets. The majority of, or the highest proportion of your assets are within your road network. And then a very close second and third are your utility networks, your sanitary and your storm sewers. It is a good news story for where your assets currently sit when looking at things from a balanced replacement value perspective. We're at about 78% of your assets being in fair or better condition. So there's only 22% that are in that poor or very poor condition, which is very reasonable and to be expected because we don't want to spend money prematurely on assets that don't necessarily need to be replaced right this second, but they are on the radar. So it's nothing to be alarmed about that you have 22% in that poor or very poor condition. So based on ideal circumstances, if you were to do absolutely everything in perfect time, meaning a pickup truck comes to the end of its life and you replace it the next year, and the same with all of your water lines and your bridges, etc. Ideally, the city would be spending about $23 million per year on capital infrastructure. And that is the amount that would be required in order to not increase what we refer to as the backlog. And the backlog is all of those infrastructure projects that maybe should have been done last year or the year before and got deferred. So our goal is to make sure that we're either minimizing or eliminating that backlog. And in order to do that, it would be about $23 million per year. So like I said, this year's iteration of the asset management plan looks forward and at proposed levels of service. And this is a new requirement for this year's iteration for the asset management plan. So what are proposed levels of service? That's a great question. The Ontario regulation does not define it. So current levels of service look at past metrics, your present day average condition of your assets, how old things are, how much you've historically spent. Whereas proposed levels of service look forward for the asset performance at a future defined date. And because there is no set definition of what proposed levels of service you need to strive for, it is important to take every community's individuality into account. What works for the city of Thorold may not work for an adjacent municipality. So we did model 3 scenarios, and we based these scenarios off of financial goals. So scenario 1 is if we wanted to really minimize any rate or tax increases on your residents and businesses, and if we only strived for 50% of the ideal funding for your tax funded assets and 80% of your water and sanitary assets. With scenario 2, it's targeting 75% funding for your tax assets and 90% funding for your utilities. And ultimately, what we selected for the purpose of this asset management plan was a fully funded scenario where all assets within your portfolio, we are targeting a full funding scenario. And there's a brief summary on this slide about the pros and cons. There's always going to be trade-offs. The less money you spend, the less financial burden there is on residents. However, you are increasing that infrastructure backlog. You're exposing yourself to additional risk of services being impacted due to asset failures. But on the flip side, where you gain the sustainability of your asset, it is a very high tax burden to place on residents and businesses to ensure the sustainability of your existing assets. So this is an example of the graphs that are shown for every asset category within the asset management plan. But for this example, we are using fleet. And this is what your conditions would look like over the next 100 years. If you were to target either 50% funding, 75% funding, or that fully funded model. And what you can see here is that if you continue with lower funding levels and fleet is funded at 50% of ideal, your average fleet vehicle will ultimately be in poor or very poor condition, which isn't necessarily a great place to be. You are likely going to see a lot more breakdowns, higher maintenance costs, and likely those service impacts where certain projects cannot be completed because the equipment just isn't operational. With targeting that 75% funding, you are bumping your average condition up into about 30% territory. And if you go through with an ideal funding level, you will be looking at averaging about 50%, which is a really reasonable average to be hitting, as some infrastructure or some equipment will be new and some will be old, but averaging about that 50%. So in order to reach this goal, we have put together a financial strategy, and based on past asset management plans, trying to target within 15 years, and a few years have passed, we wanted to make sure that we stuck with that timeline. So this recommendation is based off of 12 years. So in order to achieve the proposed levels of service to be fully funded within the next 12 years, we are recommending an annual tax increase of 3.5%. We do realize that that is quite a significant tax burden, but after the 12 years, you would not need to increase taxes for the purpose of capital funding. Obviously, inflation is a different story, but you would stabilize once you reached that financial level. For water rates, you're looking at a 1.2% increase over annual increase over the 12 years, and wastewater would only require a 0.8% percent increase. We have, for reference, put the percentage increases that would be applicable if you were to choose one of the other scenarios. And like I said, it is a balancing act of that tax burden versus the long-term sustainability of your assets. So this is an outlook over the 12 years. And if you implement the recommended tax and rate increases, you do see that over the 12 years, you close that funding gap and eventually reach that ideal where there is no longer a gap. I do want to emphasize that capital expenditure needs are going to fluctuate based on the year, and some are going to be above average and some are going to be below average. So it is important that in years where the expenditure is below that recognized average, that we don't over allocate those funds to additional or side projects, and instead that they are saved away in a reserve so that we have the funds to call upon when those larger projects that maybe can't be funded within 1 year's tax base, tax revenue, it is there to count on. So for our recommendations and next steps, we will always recommend that the asset inventory be kept up to date. The more accurate your inventory is, the more accurate our predictions can be. And that includes looking at your life cycle strategies, looking at current replacement costs, using recent projects, etc. Continuous improvement. We do not want this asset management plan to be another report that gains dust on a shelf. We want it to be a living document that both council and administration look to make sure that we're staying on the right track. In addition to that, we want to make sure that the operating budget is communicating within the asset management plan that if there are, let's say, condition assessments or things that can help make the asset management plan more accurate, that is being funded in the interim. And for levels of service, identifying metrics that are important to Thorold that can be reported on annually to track progress as you move forward in your asset management journey. So for next steps, review the findings of the asset management plan, and it is just a piece of the puzzle. It is meant to be informational to help council make informed decisions and consider the recommendations within your future budget deliberations. Like I mentioned, consider if administration needs any supports that could be funded through the operating budget in order to support the asset management program. And then finally, to develop that process to regularly review and track progress within your asset management plan and program. And as per OREG 58817, now that you're in compliance with the 2025 requirements, it is required that the asset management plan be updated every 5 years. So your next iteration would be due to the province by 2030. So with that, I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Alexa, and thank you for the presentation. I'll open the floor up for council for any questions regarding the presentation. Go ahead, Councillor Hanley.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mayor. Through you to the presenter, in regards to, you mentioned about recent projects, has the Canada Games facility been factored in as part of the asset management plan under facilities?
Is that the joint building? I just may be referring to it as a different title.
The joint building?
The consortium.
The consortium? It's been factored in on the asset management plan that we have before us here in regards to facilities?
No. Right?
If it is in operation, as of this plan, I believe used a year-end cutoff.
Okay, Alexa, thank you. I'll have our Director of
Through you,
Finance.
Mr. Mayor, no, it is not part of our asset management plan. It's part of the consortium's asset management plan for, we contribute, I think at this point, $414,000, which is our share that goes towards life cycle. So that is not included here.
So, thank you, Maria, for that. So in that case, then over and above our facilities and then what the percentage is brought for us here today at 3.3%. That's just in regards to this. That's not factoring in the Canada Games facility then when it comes down to it. So that 3.3% is in fact going to be higher because we don't factor in the
Well,
facility,
that's already
Canada Games?
budgeted for, that's already budgeted.
It's already budgeted?
Yes.
4% every year?
That, whatever that amount is, it's already been, it captured in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right, Mer-
can I, yeah, is that, so this is 3.3% and then on top of that factored in is 4% for the Canada Games facility per year? Or no, or-
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the Canada Games facility, there was an analysis done on life cycle and replacement costs, and our share of that we budget every year that's in our base budget is $414,000 towards life cycle. You know, if at some point the analysis is changed and updated, then we would be subject to the incremental difference. But at this point, the 414 is included in our share of the budget. It's already in there.
Okay, thank you. Just one more follow-up. 414 would represent what percentage of the tax? Two and what is it, one? Then I have no further questions.
1.7%.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Anyone
Thank you,
else?
Mr. Mayor. No further questions.
Anyone else have questions? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, first off, I want to say congratulations to our finance department, congratulations to our staff, and to this council and previous councils for keeping such a high standard on our assets. It's quite impressive to hear this report and see which situation we're in. So that's just a very good news story so far. My question is just for a little bit of clarity on page 12 of your presentation, this to the presenter through you, Mr. Mayor. It says that the target funding at 100% is 1.1 million a year. So does that, my interpretation of that is every year it must be increased by 1.1 million? Is that what this is representing?
No, it's not increased by 1.1 million. It's that once we get through that 12-year, implementation period where we're slowly increasing the taxes, that you would be at that ideal funding level of $1.1 million per year. So it wouldn't be increasing by 1.1 per year. It's just that would be the target that you would be investing into your fleet every year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Councillor Dedivides.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very pleased with the 70% assets are fair and better condition. I have one question. What's our comparison to other municipalities our size? Are we in good shape here?
I would say that from my experience, you are in probably the upper quartile. We do see that the small municipalities are really, really struggling. The medium size are doing okay, and the large centers are not necessarily keeping up with growth and are having to make those really difficult decisions about, are we shutting down facilities, etc. As far as you are doing, I can say that I don't currently have another client that has that high of a percentage of assets in fair or better condition. Most are down in that 50 to 60% range. So having 78% is very, very positive. And you are not out of the norm for being about half funded on what is the ideal capital expenditure. That is simply a factor of historical funding. We haven't seen the full replacements come around from the infrastructure boom of the 80s. So we want to make sure that we are emphasizing that just because what we have been spending for the last few decades has been working, it's going to catch up to us. So it's better to be prepared now so that we can afford all of the replacements when they come.
That's great. So if I was a teacher, I'll give Thorold an A+.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Anyone else for questions? Okay, seeing none, Alexa, I want to thank you for the presentation, and then I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder to put DF 28, 2025 on the floor. I got Councillor DeRose and Councillor Hanley, and that's the Asset Management Plan Proposed Levels of Service. And our Director of Finance, Maria, and her staff are here to answer any questions. Go ahead. Questions for Maria? The only question I have then, Maria, is the recommended levels of service and what we can actually do without killing the taxpayer. Would that be, when we put our budget together and staff comes with, you know, a recommendation of projects we should do, and those that in if we, in a deferred list that we may want to add or whatever, is this taken into consideration when generating that, or how are we going to proceed with that, I guess?
Through Mr. Mayor, they're recommending a 3.3% increase per year. That being said, they don't factor in that we will have grants that are increasing year over year. They've based it on pretty much what we received in 23-24 for grants. So we would look to receive more in the way of grant that would reduce the amount of the life cycle renewal costs that we would have to fund from the levy. The other consideration is we have a number of capital projects that we have funded internally that will be fully paid off within the next 10 years. And at that point, what we could do is we could take that money that's in the base budget, apply it to life cycle renewal, and again, reduce the impact that we need to fund from the levy.
And so those recommendations would come to council, and then council at budget time would make the decisions regarding, you know, what level they want to fund.
That's correct.
Okay, that's the thing. It's still in our hands to make sure that we're prudent to the taxpayer and also getting things done. Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. Again, the prudent decisions that have been made in the past and moving forward, again, to me, demonstrates what a local small municipality can do without being amalgamated.
Yeah.
Again, we understand our needs, we understand what we have to do, we put ourselves in a good position. Again, this is one of those things I would mention in that report that we're putting together to show how small municipalities are more important or can do different things, think out of the box, be responsible to the taxpayer, and amalgamation always isn't the best case. So again, that's what I want to highlight here is our finance team and our staff have done a great job. Again, passing it along to council, making some good decisions. And then from what I hear is we're anticipating opportunities to try to reduce that number to make sure that our capital projects are funded through grants, opportunities like that, and then also looking at how it fits in with the tax increases that we have to bring forward every year. So again, it's the autonomy of having that small municipality and talking to our citizens to make sure that we're delivering what they want at a fair price. Something that won't happen through amalgamation, guaranteed. That's my point that I wanted to bring forward. Thank you.
Very good point. Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, the report's on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, thank you. There are no delegations. Items for consent, we have 11.1 to 11.7. Can I get a mover and seconder for all of them, and then we can speak to any? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor Hanley. Is there any reports that someone wants to speak to? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 11.1.
11.1. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
I have 11.6 and 11.7.
Okay. Anyone else? And I have just one amendment that I want to make to the calendar on 11.2, which I'll bring up. It's just a small addition for our budget, adding the back-to-back nights, so we'll deal with that when that comes up. Okay, so we'll start with 11.1, overview of bylaw enforcement procedures. Who pulled that one? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Danny.
It'll go through the clerk, and if he needs Danny, then it'll.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
You can stay up there.
All right.
They'll probably need you.
Okay. So I'm addressing the clerk?
Yes, you are.
Okay, all right. So, great report. I like a lot of the points that are in this report. I just have one question, and that's why I asked for Danny, but perhaps you can answer it. There is one clause in there that states that if there's inaction after 7 days' notice, that steps will be taken to remediate any of the problems. And I'm just a little concerned of what happens, and here's an odd case scenario. Should someone be out of the country for whatever reason, not be available, the notice goes unnoticed, is there any way that we can somehow ensure that a person really is notified and understands that there's a bylaw infraction and that steps need to be taken so that we don't find ourselves in a position where somebody has returned home and has found something done on their property where they would have taken care of it had they known of. And I know this is an ongoing issue, but the bulk of the report is fantastic, really great, and we're seeing some of the steps that we've been talking about and requesting for a long time now. So that is my one concern.
You want to handle that, or you want?
Danny? No. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Maybe it would be an appropriate question for Danny, not knowing it was more of an on-the-ground kind of question about bylaw, but I appreciate that. And so through you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Danny, you're up.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, no, we do not have a process in place for that. Generally, we would expect homeowners to appoint someone to take care of their property. We do post the order on the property, and oftentimes we try to reach out via telephone number that we have on file. However, if that fails, we would proceed with the cleanup.
And that's after 7 days, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's after 8 days.
After
so
8
generally 9th or the 10th day.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of run into a little bit of a fine line there should someone really not be home. And I could give many instances where it would be quite legit. So I don't know what to say there. If we can somehow...
Problem you have is, okay, well, we didn't get an answer, and then a month from now, we didn't get an answer. Where does it end?
Yeah, exactly.
You got neighbors that want grass cut or something done.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a tough call.
Problem you're running
Yeah.
into.
Do we have a secondary means of reaching out to residents through an email, perhaps? Is that something that we have access to so that we can try knocking on the door, making a phone call? I don't know all the steps, all the different methods or means that you use to try to reach out to some of these residents, but I just want to make sure our bases are not loaded, but covered.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, unfortunately, we do not. We don't keep that sort of information on file.
Well, if I can. With that said, through you, Mr. Mayor, if there are examples where there happens to be a bylaw file open for whatever reason, at the same time that this other process is taking place, I mean, I imagine we could search to see if there's an alternate means of contact, but as Mr. Vukovic has said, you can't necessarily rely on having any particular homeowner's email address or phone number in every case.
Where we have that is if it's a licensed rental property, then we have that contact information. You know.
All right, I appreciate that, and once again, a really thorough report. Thank you for it.
Councilor DeAngelo, you wanted to comment?
Yeah, I have a couple questions just for clarity. I appreciate this and the report from staff and the standard operating practices that are being implemented to make this more efficient and easily understandable by our residents. Just a few questions here, just for my own clarity. One thing is, I know one of the concerns that we've heard a few times was when a work order is issued, it's not very detailed. So is that something that's going to be improved upon through these standard operating practices, a more detailed work order? This way, the individual that's cleaning up their property knows exactly what needs to be cleaned up. Because we've heard in the past that a bylaw officer will go there, say there's debris that has to be removed, then comes back later and says, well, that should have been removed also. So I think clarity at the upfront would be helpful for both the bylaw enforcement of it and also for the resident. Is that something that's going to be handled through this practice?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, that is something we have improved upon. The officer does identify, to the best of their ability, what's expected, and we also provide a copy of the bylaw of the definitions of domestic waste. Therefore, it covers all the bases.
Okay, no, that's good. The other one, and I'm looking at point number 6, where it talks about the work order shall provide the owner not less than 8 calendar days following the date to which the order is sent via registered mail. Like, is 8 days really reasonable? Because if you get a holiday, right, and you throw it on a weekend, how many really business days do they have to deal with the issue? And it sort of goes to the concern, I want to make sure there's a fair process so that it doesn't, like, should it be 8 business days? That gives a little bit, I know you don't want to extend it where it becomes a problem, but at the same time, you have to be fair on depending on when it lands. Like if it lands during the Christmas time and there's holidays in there, the 8 days gets consumed very quickly with some weekend and some holiday days there that has to be dealt with. So through you, Mr. Mayor, if that can be sort of a
Can you
question
answer that?
or
I'll get our
addressed.
clerk to answer that.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, it is a good point. Under point 7, underneath it does note, right, that bylaw staff do retain discretion to extend compliance timelines where property owners have communicated steps taken and reasons an extension is required. And from my understanding, and Mr. Vukovic can comment on it if need be, where owners are proactively contacting the city with questions, with a plan in place to fix the problem, staff are pretty willing to work with timeframes as long as we see that work is being done to address the matter.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's more addressing the matter once there's contact is a little different than addressing it and prior to it. Again, because a lot of our residents are rural, some of this registered mail goes to a rural mailbox. They don't go every day to their mailbox. We don't get mail every day. That's my concern with the 8 days there, that you just don't want to draw a line right away and that's it, when really they may only have 1 day to absorb the letter that has come in. That's my concern, and that's been expressed to me by several residents in the past. So I'm not sure what the perfect answer is to fix it, but that's, if it can be massaged with how it's working depending on the days, like the holidays, weekends, that concerns me. And then the other component to that timeline that was addressed or brought forward with one of the taxpayers in the past was weather-wise, right? The weather was unreasonable to mitigate cleaning up of the property. It made things worse. If that's taken into consideration, and it sounds like number 7 would take that into consideration, that staff would work with that individual based on a snowstorm, based on rain, that maybe something can't be moved because it's in mud, so that nobody gets injured trying to do something that is physically demanding because of the climate at this point in time.
So that's correct. Is that all taken into consideration, Danny?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. Residents generally, homeowners reach out to the officer requesting an extension, and almost every time we accommodate that extension according to their needs. And I've seen those extensions go into 30 days or more.
Okay, no, that's good to hear that. That's because again, that was one of the concerns from the early process here. That sort of are the comments I had on what I saw here. It's moving in a positive direction, so I'm quite thankful.
And I think what's come out of that, and the point you make that we can be, look, if there are stats involved in that, how, some flexibility, I think is.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a comment. We have seen a significant increase in voluntary with these processes being implemented.
The big improvement, no question. Okay, so we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Oh, did you have a comment, Councillor Dorn? Sorry.
Just a quick question, Mr. Mayor, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Danny. Danny, do we make sure that we directly, besides I've heard of people saying they didn't get the letter and using that as an excuse. Included in that, is that ever a phone call and a direct contact to the person that's being addressed or that's possibly going to be fined?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in severe cases, yes, we will go make every effort to contact the homeowner and advise affected. Generally, the immediate cleanup would be for something along the lines of grass cuts. Anything that's severe and significant, we do make multiple attempts to contact the owners.
That's good. And also, I know of some cases where someone's been in the hospital or sick, so are we being flexible with people in that situation where they're not even home because they're in the hospital or something like that nature?
Through you, Mayor, yes, absolutely, we do.
That's good to hear. Thank you. I like what I read in the report. Thank you.
Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And if we can call up the meeting schedule, I just want to show, well, I want it up so council can see.
I'll just share the screen.
Yeah. So if you look at what we do traditionally in budget, you'll see that we're starting budget on the 10th of February, and we have a budget date on the 17th. I want to add the 11th. You know, traditionally we're going Tuesday, Wednesday when we start budget. I want to make sure we have those two back-to-back nights on the 10th and 11th, and then the 17th is a placeholder if we need a third meeting, and then, well, we have been, but we still need to make sure we box those in. So is everybody good adding the 11th to the calendar? That's the only thing. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So essentially, the motion could be to move the 17th to the 11th, and a special meeting can be called if need be after that as well. So would that be sufficient, just to move the February 17th to February 11th?
Is everybody good with that? Yes. And then at the 11th, if we find we need the 17th, we could add it at that time. Okay? So, do I need can I get a mover and a seconder for that so I don't have to leave the chair? Councillor Sentence and Councillor Longo. Okay? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so that's that. Is everybody good with the rest of the calendar? All right? Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There you go. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. We get, again, same mover and seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now we had these last two, and DS 30 2025 26 Queen Street North. Councillor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just had a question through you to staff. When I was looking at page 3, it talked about parking spots that I believe there's 2 parking spots. Just for clarity, is that one exterior parking spot and one garage parking spot? You, Mr. Mayor?
Who's going to answer that from, go ahead.
Hello, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's in the garage and external.
Okay. And the only other concern I have is then can the, because I see this all the time and I get complaints all the time, parking, because what happens is it gets built and then the front lawn becomes a parking lot for all the cars. So you have like 4 or 5 cars going across the front of the lawn. Is that restricted when we have these applications?
Courtney, can you answer that?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. At the moment, we have our max driveway width bylaws, regulations, and so that would be where it would be enforced. And then we currently don't differentiate between hard and soft scapes, so if someone creates a more permanent surface over their front yard, we can't really regulate that right now, but I also defer to my manager of planning to follow up if I missed anything.
Who's gonna handle that question? Mark? Go ahead. I know we have a bylaw about parking on the grass, but,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is something that we can look at in a future update to the housekeeping bylaw as well, to introduce some minimum landscaped open space in the front yard. I think that's something that we are looking at. And when we do a housekeeping amendment, likely early in the next year, we would be bringing that forward.
Okay, it's just that, I use St. David's as the example. They don't have to park on the grass because they just put gravel across the whole front lawn, so they're technically not parking on the grass, and it looks hideous. And you know, they stand up there and they say, no, we're building this for our parents who are moving into this house, and it's gonna have proper driveways, and then it doesn't happen. I'm not saying this application's that case, but I've seen it too far in the past, so I'm wondering how we could stem that. Like, is it through the building process where they apply for their building permit? Is it when we release their funds at the end that they have to have proper driveways that conform to what's been put in the application as opposed to whatever they feel like doing?
And through you, Mr. Mayor, I think there's probably a couple of different areas. One would be zoning, one would be at the time of building permit and looking at that and ensuring that it complies with all of our zoning bylaws. So I think there's probably a couple of different approaches, but we've definitely noted that that is a concern of council going forward. So I think it is something that we're going to address probably sooner than later.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the answer and that it's going to be addressed, and then potentially look at some of these properties.
no, and it's good that we get this housekeeping done. And would that come under comprehensive zoning bylaw, or how would that? Because I know that's another whole thing that we have too.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. Mayor, what we're hoping to do is in advance of the official plan process, come forward with a housekeeping amendment to kind of fix some of the blemishes in the existing bylaw.
Okay.
And then use that almost as a stopgap measure. And then the zoning bylaw, the comprehensive zoning bylaw would follow after the official plan process.
Okay. Okay.
No, that satisfies me because it's a concern that's been addressed or is being addressed, that's been brought to me several times. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a mover and a seconder for that. All those in favor? Oh, did you have a question? Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was gonna bring it to the floor because it was a good report and it's
Yeah,
done
go
thoroughly.
ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I was just gonna support it, but we're at that point, so let's vote.
Okay, I had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We have one left, 11-7 DS 31 2025 90 Ormond Street South. Councillor DeAngelo, go ahead. Or is it the same issue?
No, this was the one that during the meeting I brought up the potential of realigning the roadway so it aligned as a T, as a four-way intersection as opposed to a T intersection. Was any consideration given to that? The diagram doesn't show that anything's changed, but if maybe through you, Mr. Mayor, staff can just explain what happened there through that discussion, if there was a discussion.
Okay, Mark, you're up. Hey?
The engineering folks can talk about it.
Oh.
Yeah, through.
Oh,
through
okay,
you, Mr.
sorry,
Mayor.
Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, I can address that. That's all right. Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So there is a section of the report that that does kind of speak to it. We are proposing that an environmental assessment be conducted just to figure out the optimal road configuration, whether that be kind of a T junction, an L junction, or leaving it unchanged. That'll be a budget item, so it is budgeted for, and it was kind of considered in this report. So yes, we are thinking about the kind of road configuration around 90 Ormond.
Thank you. Go ahead.
That satisfies my, that's a good answer, because as long as it's still being considered, because the last thing you want to do is have to put a T intersection there with the development that's going on there after you just put in, a four-way stop, as opposed to having a T intersection. So just as long as it's being considered and coming up with an optimal solution, I'll leave it in the hands of the engineers and the planning staff, so thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Thorold.
I'll just touch on what Councillor DeAngelo said. Yeah, This is one, like an example, this is an example of us not having to spend money. I say leave it as it is. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Well, this will come back.
I know. I just, we gotta start finding ways to not spend. Thank you.
Did you want to comment?
Just one quick thing, okay,
ahead,
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor
through you, is that, as I mentioned, when it was proposal was brought forward, we have to consider, it was actually an entranceway there, since Shell Oil, there was a Shell Oil facility originally in that stuff. You know, it's been probably 50 years, there was an entranceway there. So, and the only reason the Ben's there, because they closed Lock 7, the bridge at the Ontario Paper Mill, to the extension of Warman Street was no longer needed, so they made a junction to Richmond Street with Industrial Park Drive. So I think it's suitable for, goes the way it always was.
Okay, so we had a mover and a seconder for this. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. That takes us now into items for consideration. CLK 13, 2025, parking exemptions for special events. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor Decker. Nicholas can answer questions as well as our bylaw manager. What? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I'd like to ask if we could, the BIA has asked if we could make an amendment to this, this report to include from November 15th. And I'll go through just a few of the things they have going in November. It's a Tap Canadian contest where if you spend $15 or more, you can put a receipt in and get a cash prize from the downtown. A celebration of tree lights is coming back again in November. Our Santa Claus parade. They have the McGregor Carolers coming, and they're hoping to have all their windows decorated because there's a small business Saturday they're having, and Shannon Passero has her event in November as well. So I'm asking to amend it to November 15th.
And that's a request from the BIA?
Yeah, and I've already spoken with Nicholas. The amount of money is minimal that we would lose in the parking, so.
So that, let's table that amendment first, and then we'll look at the whole report.
Yep.
We got a seconder, Councillor Hanley, that the parking exemption start on November the 15th rather than end of the month, correct? Is there anyone who wants to speak to the amendment? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Yeah, I was gonna offer a friendly amendment that would probably make more sense and it reduce confusion. Why don't we start at November 11th with Remembrance Day, because that's one of the days that's focused on making sure that we have available parking. So instead of making the 15th, it starts November 11th and goes to the time frame that's suggested. Just a friendly,
Do you accept that?
Yeah, the only reason I didn't put it in there, because in the report,
already
it
covered
already
in
has it in the report.
But I get
the
what you
11th,
mean,
so.
that way it's.
But yeah, we could cover it, that'd be good.
Yeah, this way for 4 days, people are not confused that it goes back to the
It's a
original
good point,
parking.
point well taken, and it's been friendly amendment accepted. Anyone want to speak to that? Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering, I want to support that, and if this is something that can happen every year going
Well,
forward.
that's just going to go in the report, and this is going to be a yearly
Okay.
thing. I
Thank
know
you.
it was much appreciated by the Canal Bank Shuffle this year, and, you know, the only thing that we have to watch, which I've been told, and I'll just make this comment for our bylaw, is to make sure that people aren't parking in the permit parking places. Because we've had some issues where the permit parking places were full and people that had permits couldn't park. So that's the only thing we have to be very cognizant of, so. Yeah, anyway, so that amendment, we.
So that's, that would be a vote on the amendment, which is bolded and,
So that, we're gonna vote on that first, right?
yeah.
Okay, so we have the amendment, which is C, is to extend the parking exemption for the Christmas holiday season from November 11th to January 1st, okay? Okay. And we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Paul?
Is this just for the amendment?
Yes, this is just the amendment.
Thank you for the clarity.
Okay, okay. I put from, and now, the rest of the report, does anyone want to speak to that? Did you want to speak to that, Councillor DeAngelo?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just, I thought we should add another item on there, one of the days. It's Decoration Day that the Legion hosts. It's usually, I think, the first Sunday of June.
It's the first Sunday. It's usually not a big issue because the stores downtown are closed, but if you wanted to add it, I have no problem.
Well, I think since we're doing it now, I think that would be most appropriate to add it. We're doing Remembrance Day. This way, it gives them some opportunity to park. Because
So
I
it's the
know,
first, it's always the first Sunday in June. And it's Decoration Day. It's always the first Sunday in June. And there is a parade up Front Street. They really do it up big. They have a lot, even the people from the Legion in the States coming over. Yeah, so, you know, we're very lucky to have the veteran organizations that keep things moving for us. Okay.
so if you need a mover, Mr. Mayor, I'll move that.
You're gonna move that, and Counselor Sutton's gonna second. It's an amendment, so we'll have to vote again on that separate, and then we'll vote on the whole report.
Just let me write it up here.
I gotta keep the clerk busy here. He's, good thing it's not me, I only type with 2 fingers. Okay, and the amendment is that staff be directed to add Decoration Day to the parking exemption, and it being the first Sunday in June. And a mover and a seconder, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Now the report as a whole.
Yeah,
With the,
as amended.
as amended, the report as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. 12.3 PWCS 50 2025 Colburn Street and Solomon Avenue Design Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Decker and Councillor Ditavitas. Jeff's here to answer any questions. That report's on the floor. Is there anyone that wants to speak to that report? Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Holman. Just wondering when this project would start.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we plan on having a conversation with our contractor in the next, within the next 2 weeks, and based on their schedule. We also are trying to avoid Santa Claus Parade as it comes right down that route.
Good.
So
That's the reason I asked. Thank you.
it
No,
may
they
get,
can start the day after.
that's right, the day after Santa Claus Parade.
Okay, does that answer your concern, Councillor Longo? We had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.
We did get a mover and seconder.
Yes, we had Councillor Decker and Councillor Ditavitas, okay? 12.4 PWCS 52 2025 Gil Gordon Parking Lot Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put that on the floor? Councillor Hanley and Councillor O'Hare. And again, Jeff's here to answer any questions regarding that tender award. Is there anyone that has any comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Just a quick comment. Very desperately needed out there. You know, I've been out there several times. People in regards to parking on the side. I know Bylon, Danny, and the boys have been out there a significant amount of times. So it's a well-needed asset to the facility that's out there. You know, we got the soccer, so on and so forth. So I'm great to see this coming forward.
And then we gotta keep moving on the rest of that whole.
That's right. We got the turf coming, you know, so on and so forth. So let's do some proactive things instead of reactive. I appreciate it.
And it's definitely needed. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 12.5 PWCS 57 2025 Ellenberg Community Center Abatement and Demolition Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Councillor Sentence and Councillor Decker. And again, Jeff's here to answer any questions on PWCS 57 2025. The report's up on the screen. Is there anyone that wants to speak to that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. PWCS 62, 2025, DQ House Parking Lot Tender Award. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? I got Councillor Decker and Councillor Dedivitis. Again, Jeff's here for any questions or answer any questions or comments. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Just a quick question to you, Mr. Mayor. In the wintertime, will there be a dedicated individual to clean the sidewalk so that you can walk there, or is that going to be left as a natural, like, I guess the, not specifically the sidewalk, but the whole snow plowing component of that parking lot? Is there a snow plowing plan in place for the wintertime?
Good question. Jeff? Who would answer that? Jeff, Sean, or Mark? Okay.
Yeah,
I know we got a lot of horsepower here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good question, but we would approach like our other parking lots, get the roads done first, the primary sidewalks, and then this would be the next wave. So, you know, depending on the weather conditions, we would hope that within 72 hours we'd be able to make it usable.
That satisfies my answer, just as long as it's getting plowed, because it will be used in the wintertime.
Oh, yes, there's no doubt about it. And, you know, this is a great news story because the Trans-Canada grant got increased, and the work our team has done, and also working with the Friends of Laura Secord, that relationship, and OPG. So this is a great news story, and it's long overdue to get that all cleaned up over there. And we had the tree planting, so everything's moving in a positive direction. So we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. PWCS 64, 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Sentence. And seconder, Councillor Hanley. You second that? Go ahead, Councillor Sentence.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just want to speak to it. It was a good meeting. The residents were very respectful and understanding. They had some great ideas. I guess I have through you a question for staff. If this was given more time, could we open the portal again so they could? Their concern was that they want to get their ideas in, more ideas in.
Okay, is that possible? Go ahead, Sean.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is absolutely possible. And as a matter of fact, to that point, we've received some comments since the report had to be posted to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hanley, go ahead.
I'd like to defer this till a November meeting, and that the city open the portal again and give the residents more time to present their
It's a
ideas.
deferral. It's not open for debate. Who's seconding that? Councillor Sentence. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. And that will get opened up, and then we'll get more comments, and then we'll come back next meeting. Notice is a motion. Councillor Sentence, you have a motion next meeting regarding Affordable Housing Committee. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, so you'll be working on that. Are there any other notices of motion for the next meeting? Go ahead, Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two. One is regarding veteran parking. Veteran parking.
Veteran parking, go ahead. And you'll work with the clerk on that, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct. And the second one is, I'm going to ask, well, it's a notice of motion, but I'm going to see if council will waive the procedure, and we could just vote on this, because my notice of motion is I just want to put a committee in place to review the options for the Legion crosswalk. There's several people that from the Legion have expressed interest in participating and coming up with options of what can be done instead of the crosswalk that was scheduled. I know we deferred that, but we just let it sort of hang there. So I just want to get council's approval so that we can set up a committee and start looking at the options and bring that back so it's ready to come back in front of council at the budget of next year. So this way they can, like, staff can put a bit of time into this, the volunteers can put a bit of time in, and there's been several ideas since we had that deferral of the motion that have come forward as suggestions. So I think This could be looked at, reviewed, come up with some proposals, costing of it, and bring it back in front of council, especially for the budget of next year. I'd like to do it as soon as possible, because every time, I don't want to defer this. It's just basically giving, council's giving the okay of putting a committee together. So that's why I'm asking, instead of bringing a notice of motion, if we could just do a motion, waive the
the clerk.
procedure, and just get the committee set up.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the procedural bylaw can be waived with a two-third affirmative vote, and then the motion can be voted on by majority at this meeting.
Okay, so up first, there'll be a two-third vote required to waive the procedural bylaw. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, can I get, do I need a mover and a seconder? Yes. That's moved by Councillor DeAngelo, seconded by Councillor O'Hare. All those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We had a unanimous vote there. So now we'll get a motion and we'll get that looked after.
Yeah, the motion will be very simple, is that we establish a committee to look at the Veterans Crosswalk and other options that are available within the community of Thorold, and that we allow volunteers to sit on the committee.
And you want this to report for budget, right? You want the report?
Yeah, it might even come before budget, but the budget implications
It's
would.
gonna be budget implications.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so you're gonna move that and Councillor O'Hare is gonna second that? Are you gonna put something up or?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps if Councillor DeAngelo can clarify, so are you looking for staff to be directed to form kind of a working group or a community liaison group?
Yeah,
okay.
that's correct. The working group, so that those that are interested that want to participate, counselors, members of the public, those are the veteran organizations that want to participate to get this project moving forward, with some aid of staff to put everything together. I did speak to staff a little bit. They also have some ideas that can be brought forward. So I think it'd be good if we have a bit of a committee to work through some of the logistics of it.
Okay. I'll just wait till that's up to make sure everybody's good with the language. If they are, then
Just
we
keep it
got
simple.
29 minutes.
Don't worry, there's gonna be another 14-inning game. You'll see lots of it.
No, it's 8:08. but,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You can tell an Oakland A fan likes to talk a lot tonight, but anyways, I do have a question for him. I'm just wondering, like, what composition, how many counselors do you want on this? How many?
Yeah, I don't think you want it to get too cumbersome,
Yeah, we can't have too many, right? So,
you know.
I'm more interested in the working group of the citizens that want to come together. Say maximum of 2 counselors that want to participate
Yeah.
would be more than plenty. The good ideas usually come from the taxpayers and the citizens, more so than the counselors. Thanks.
Okay, so staff be directed to form a working group to advise on Veteran Crosswalk commemoration for the purpose of having the matter ready for council's review at 26 budget deliberation, okay? And the working group will include 2 counselors. How's that? Is that good?
Yeah, the only thing I would change is veteran crosswalk options. Just options, so I don't want to just narrow down to a crosswalk. There was some other.
Yeah, crosswalk options, okay.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to add that, yeah. Okay? Is it good? Good. Okay, we had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So that one's done, and your veteran parking you're gonna bring forward next meeting. Did you have your hand up, Councillor O'Hare?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is for a notice of motion regarding parking issues at the Seniors Plus Center and in the vicinity of Carlton Claremont.
Okay, and you're gonna bring that at the next council meeting, okay? Okay, now we're gonna move on to motions, and I'll call on Councillor De Davidas for his motion respecting the position of grant writer, and, do you have?
Sorry.
What?
Sorry. Didn't hear what you said?
Do you have a seconder for your motion?
Jim Henley,
Right?
for my motion,
Yeah.
for my grant, yeah.
Seconder,
Sorry.
Councilor Hanley, come on.
We're
let's-
talking about parking.
Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor.
Whereas securing external funding is crucial in supporting municipal programs, services, and infrastructure projects. And whereas dedicated grant writer would enhance the municipality's ability to identify and pursue funding opportunities by actively searching for grants, consulting with department staff on the alignment of potential grants with municipal priorities, drafting compelling grant applications, and preparing required reports for awarded grants. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the corporation of the City of Thorold enacts the following. The staff be directed to include for council's consideration during the 2026 municipal budget deliberations, the proposed hiring of a grant writer for a fixed term of 18 months. And I just want to know if I can comment on that.
Yes, you can.
Why I chose 18 months is this way they have some time to get familiar, get everything up and rolling, and 12 months wouldn't be fair. And we can even do this not a full-time position, but a part-time position. And by 18 months, if they're not performing, then we axe it. But as we spoke about it tonight, the key word all night long was grants, 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 grants. And looking at the state of the economy and what's happening, there's going to be a lot of grant money coming out there. So other municipalities I spoke to, our size, have grant writers. So we should have a grant writer too. This is a full-time job. We can't waste staff's time writing grants. We need an expert to do this. And I think this is going to benefit the taxpayers because we're going to save them a lot of money if we can get some more grants coming our way.
Thank you, Councilor. Does anyone want to speak to that? Go ahead, Councilor Decker.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess a couple questions, and I don't know if it should be directed to staff or not. Is this something that staff are looking for? Are they looking for a grant writer? And what would be the cost to hire someone for this position?
Do you want to speak to that, Manoj?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will look into that, and as it's mentioned that it will come through 2026 budget deliberations. So we will bring a business case and the cost associated with it report to council at that time.
So who does our grant, like, so when we apply for grants, is it different departments that do this? Like, I'm just curious, like.
Yeah, so depending on the grant, let's say if it is a grant pertaining to community services, Mark Richardson's team, they will help with the subject matter. Clerk's office helps to put it together, so it's a lot of people provide that input in putting that piece together. Once, let's say if we have the grant writer, of course the subject or the content will come from the respective department, but these individuals, that's their job. The other municipalities have it. The full-time job is just to write grants. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, we have like, Megan at TCAG, who's exceptional at grant writing, and she would be, a great person to ask as a resource, what's involved in stuff. I was just curious if that's something that staff are looking seriously for that position, because I've never heard anything from anyone that they've been looking for someone to write grants. So it was just more of a curiosity question. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Hanley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support it on the principle that, I've been here for many years, and a lot of times we had the city clerk or other members of the department, they would come to council and they say, oh, we heard about this grant, and then, looking for council approval, should we go seek whatever? And then I've seen times when we said, well, we're too late, we didn't get the submission in time. I think Councilor Davies makes a good point. The way the scenario's going, the way the economics are going, why not give it a shot? Other municipalities are doing it. If you don't try it, you don't know if it's going to work, or if you're not going to succeed in it. And a lot of times it's a cost recovery position, that the assets from it will be the increased revenue that the city can get, and lowering the burden on the taxpayers, and offsets the cost for having a writer doing that for a grant writer. So I've investigated a little. I think it's a great opportunity for council to look at during the budget deliberations.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor DeRose.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, I'll support this. I think it's worth a try. We have to think outside the box going forward with just the rolling the bills. The bills keep piling up, so anything, any good thing about Councillor DeVitis, I think trying it won't hurt. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Go ahead.
I just
Councillor.
wanted to mention, we could start off with part-time.
Yeah.
And if it's performing, then we make it to a full-time position.
Well, this is something that staff will do
Yeah,
when they bring it
perfect.
back at budget, and they'll have a scenario based on that. Go ahead, you can keep going. Do you have anything else, Council? Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And a second one, Councillor DeVitis, your motion respecting ways to honor Jim Bradley,
Okay.
former chair.
Whereas Jim Bradley served the people of Ontario and Niagara region with distinction throughout his lengthy career, including his tenure as a member of provincial parliament in various ministerial roles and his time as regional chair. And whereas Mr. Bradley, widely respected across party lines for his integrity, collaboration, and his commitment to working with people of all political stripes and contributions to public service, had a lasting and positive impact on the community. Reflecting his deep commitment to good governance and civic engagement, now therefore be it resolved that the corporation of the City of Thorold enacts as follows. The staff be directed to report back with options for appropriately honoring Jim Bradley in his recognition of his long-standing service to the province and Ontario and the Niagara region.
And do you have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Hare, and did you want to comment?
Can I have
your
one comment?
motion?
When I was talking to other people in Niagara about this, and everyone wants to get behind 100%, was Mayor Ugolini that gave me a great suggestion that Canada Gaines Park we should look at with our partners and working together and having something there for Mr. Bradley. He loves sports, and it's a good with all partners working together. Like when Mr. Bradley is famous for working together, I think it'll be a perfect spot for him.
Well, he's a big supporter there. I just thought if the consortium group met and come up with a plan that maybe the four partners get a plaque made and mounted at Canada Games Park might be a night out. I'm not saying that's what we do. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that was a great option, but we can explore other ones.
Yeah. Okay. So that was something that we could, once we pass this, that we could bring up at the consortium meeting, because I think that would be, because Jim spent a lot of time there. He would go to Brock hockey games. He was there for a lot of events. So anyway, we got a mover and a seconder. Anyone else want to speak to that? Okay, seeing that, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, we'll go to closed session. And I'll get the, I don't have to read about,
I can read the.
yeah, you can read that, but the only thing I'll mention is that council staff and everyone present during the closed session have an obligation to ensure that what is discussed in closed session is kept confidential. And I'll get you to read the reason why we're going into closed session. This shouldn't take long, just so everyone knows. This is just a quick.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that council do now move into closed session to receive confidential information respecting a matter respecting labor relations or employee negotiations under Section 239(2)D of the Municipal Act 2001. That's for confidential verbal update respecting union negotiations.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder to go into closed session? Councillor O'Hare and Councillor DeVitis. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we're going to stay in here. We're going to get the chambers cleared out.